Welcome adventurers and fellow world builders. My name is Yadro and this is Yadro Gaming. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different in that we're going to have basically the first two seasons of the Quiet Year, actual kind of raw footage of our play session where I just ran through my players that we're going to be starting a new campaign with. Start to finish, this game took about 2 hours to complete those first two seasons, and then another hour and a half or so for the final two seasons that I'll have in a second video. Most of us have played this game before, so we had a pretty good feel for it. Your game may take quite a bit longer, so be prepared to have to split your session up or devote a really large portion of an afternoon to playing. We're using the Quiet Year to build out our world and to get some inspiration for our characters and their backstories. But what you're going to hear is basically all I did was cut out any dead time we had, jokes, a lot of wasted time or stories being told in the middle of it. So you're just going to kind of hear one card drawn after the next, how the players interpreted that, how other players played off of them. Keep in mind, this is not a professional studio. These are not professional players by any means. We're just getting together, playing a game, and I wanted to give you an example about what your game may sound like and give you a little bit of insight in how the game is going to play. So just as a note, I have switched around some of the questions in here. I added some of my own, I deleted some other ones, and then I split a couple of the card questions into two separate cards, just so I'd make sure everything was covered. Additionally, anytime there was a mention of a community, I just replaced that to a settlement, because each of my players got a chance to place their home settlement anywhere they wanted on the map. We had kind of a central location, and then from there, they placed their hometowns around it. Now, I did something kind of interesting in that for every card that they drew, they couldn't comment on their own settlement. They had to do it about someone else's settlement. This is just so everyone could get involved building out everyone else's areas, and so that you were kind of challenged to take what other people gave you so you could adapt your character to everyone else's decisions. I think this worked out pretty well, at least in these first two seasons. We'll see how it plays out in the next two in the next video. I also added two additional rules, and the first one was that each player had an opportunity to steal the second question that another player didn't choose on their turn. So once during the game, if another player completed their turn and they had two options for that card that they drew, they could pick theirs, and then the player that wanted to steal could take the second option and apply it to their own settlement. So if they heard someone take something on a card and it was in a positive area and they heard a negative on the other side of the card, they could take that negative response question and answer it for their own settlement. So I kind of call it stealing, but it's really just borrowing the second option and just making it their own. And this just gave them a little bit of an opportunity to basically just play a little bit more if they found something they really liked, and it gave them a chance to actually interact with their own settlement if they saw something that worked really well. Each player also had a token that basically allowed them to hold the discussion after another player made a move on their settlement. So if player A drew their card, answered the question about player B's settlement, at the end of that question, player B could turn in their little chip and say yes and or yes but to whatever player A gave about their settlement. So it's just a way to get a little bit more interaction at the table. It's a way to bring in the discussions because we didn't hold any regular discussions during this game. So if they wanted to do the discussion component of an action, this is where they did it. Now, I don't know if anyone actually ended up doing this. I think we just kind of did it naturally at the table, so no one actually turned their tokens in. But I gave them the option where if they wanted to interject and kind of take the reins of what someone else did and just add a little bit more or just tweak it ever so slightly, I gave them the option to do so.
All right. So not for your settlement, for someone else. What group has the highest status in one settlement? What must people do to gain inclusion in this group? Or what group has the lowest status in a settlement? What do they have to do to gain inclusion in the group?
I think I'm going to go for Paul and say the highest status is there's a military. There's probably a high level of military that is really sought after to get to. And they get all the best weapons, and I don't know if there's gems that make things better or whatever in there and how that works, but there's that very high status in the military there. People in your mountains have mastered the mountain survival and all that, so I think they have to leave and do some sort of test outside the mountains in the wilds or something and come back with something to prove that they've lasted out there or done something. They have to leave the mountains because they've grown up there and they're familiar with it. So this is go out where you've never been before, prove yourself. I want to start a project, whether it passes or fails, to see if they can identify any of the gems and things that they're finding, if they have any magical properties to them.
What necessity, skill, or research or basic tool, not listed as scarcity, does a settlement lack? Which other settlement do they need to trade with to get it?
With the scarcity of diplomacy, there's probably
leadership.
a little bit more riots, and they're wanting to see some more order brought in. So some of the mercenaries to bring order and soldiers coming from Telluride.
Yeah, I like that.
Ooh, okay. Watchtowers.
In Ambamere, I want to build watchtowers in relation to what we just did.
I would say give it 4 weeks per watchtower, however many you want there to be.
We'll build one for now.
One
We're
watchtower?
building a watchtower in the center so people can have an idea. So
6. A settlement sees a bad omen. What is it?
I have an omen for Morricone. So this will go into an omen / a project. So the omen is the wine is making everybody sick, but not just because they're drinking too much of it. 2-week project to figure out what is causing the wine to make people sick.
An old ruin is discovered, but still unexplored. What was it? What might be useful there? Or, the old ruin is discovered, it's cursed and dangerous. How does the nearby settlement believe it could be cleansed?
I'm gonna pick Dur, since there's religion there.
Feels very dur.
Just some cursed old temple to a god that none of you even know.
Be cleansed by finding the appropriate god?
And then I guess my discovery would be said temple.
Yep, let's get it on the map. Okay, there is a disquieting legend about a settlement or region. What is it? Or, alarming weather patterns affect this region. What are they?
I would guess like that there's a legend that like the wine is symbolic of the blood of the community, but like almost cult-like.
Yes.
The path for you to travel from Browood to the crossroads is essentially like a straight charred line through all the way. Like
A straight what?
like
You said charred?
yeah, like
It's like they controlled burned.
but
Okay.
don't know why.
What's the most beautiful thing in this area? Or what is the most hideous thing in this area?
Some of the trees that they're famous for, there's a very ugly vine, like think,
Do you want to flip it upside down?
what is that vine called that chokes everything out? It's basically a vine that its whole purpose is to choke out a tree.
Choke out and kill it.
But it's not just it looks,
Kudzu.
kudzu, yes, but very like ugly, like it looks cursed or demonic, or like it not necessarily, just doesn't-
Unnatural.
Unnatural, yes, perfect.
Naturally unnatural.
So near Dur, there's actually, ironically, a very large, like, I think Great Lake-sized lake of fresh water, except it is toxic for some reason. So they still don't have water.
A young boy starts digging in the ground and discovers something unexpected. What is it?
Alright, Muck Tuck, you need something. So they dig down and they find that part of the reason your agriculture isn't working is that, like, not very deep, it's like all stone, but it looks like remnants of something and you don't know what. But nothing can get root and grow very well because of that.
Kyle. They tested the gems. What did they find?
I think that there are magical properties to them, but they have no idea how to do anything with them yet. But somebody was vaporized.
Ooh.
No, well, it doesn't have to be. Actually, that might be kind of funny.
Yeah. Magic gems found.
Somebody was vaporized. They touched the wrong 2 gems together, apparently.
Was Morricone able to fix?
Can I say yes? They figured out what it was. The wine that was making people sick could be medicinal if used correctly.
Oh, cool.
Medicinal wine.
I thought
sounds
wine was already
amazing.
medicinal.
Let's just start a project in Muck Tuck to start like an excavation site to try and dig up an area of this and find out what it is. We're gonna do a big area.
A settlement sees a good omen. What is it?
We're going to say Dur. Let's go on that morning. They see a phoenix fly. We're finding a way to purify the wine.
Just
Purify.
purifying. A stranger passes through a settlement. Who are they, and what is their name or alias?
Brellwood's gonna have the visitor. Her name is Darla. And she claims to be a fortune teller. Doesn't need to be more specific than that.
That gives me plenty.
Oh, there's gonna be like a meteor for sure.
Okay.
What kind of meat?
In air or in ground?
It just floats.
It's coming toward us, actually.
Do you see? That's a fair question, though. Is it in the sky, or do you see
Campaign
it?
starts
No, it's in the
meteor.
ground.
Okay.
It's in the ground. It has struck. It's gonna be-
There's a large body of water on the map. Where is it? What does it look like? Or there's a giant man-made structure on the map. Where is it? Oh, like a large lake?
Yeah, like a large lake to keep people from being able to easily.
Give me a trace
traverse.
Is this one potable?
Huh?
Yeah, this one's good.
Precious Christmas.
This one's more of a bean.
And so this one is potable, but it's weird because it's like a very green color. Like a dock area there, so people can actually move from like Brellwood to.
Build a lake so you can't get
How many
across,
weeks?
but I want to build a bridge to get across. I love it. No, I
Well, that
love
explains why that road exists.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a really deep lake, so you don't know why it's green and what's under there.
Right, Dylan, build the watchtower. Was it successful?
Yes, it was successful.
Tell us about it. Just in the middle of town, real big and beautiful?
Beautiful. Mostly made of, large wooden watchtower. They wanted to, go for size instead of strength, so they used, lumber rather than wood for it. Probably could be a little bit heavier staff. It's don't quite have enough people for it, and we're a bit ambitious with the size.
Okay. What natural predators roam a particular area? Are the people safe? How? Or what natural environment issue plagues a particular area? Are the people safe and how? So you can actually add. We know that beasts are dangerous in the area. We also know that there's roaming really large beasts in this area. But if you want to call your shot on something, you can make it specific.
Teleron. We'll say it's
Okay. That's why they're militaristic, I'm guessing.
Yes. And the only reason they're safe is because of their current pilgrimage and like proof of status.
So maybe one of their things is that they hunt these things, potentially?
Yeah.
Like cull the herd?
Keep them in check.
Like,
Is that why they're militaristic, or were they already militaristic, and then this thing popped up and they were able to fight it off?
see, I was thinking they were already there, and then part of the pilgrimage was like you go get the horns or you go get the antlers
Yep.
of said beast.
I think that makes perfect sense. Choose two settlements on the map. What sets them apart from one another? Or what belief or practice helps to unify one of the settlements?
Dur and Tellerant, what sets them apart is Dur is very much religious, of course. Tellerant very specifically worships the old gods. I'll add a project to Dur. They sent some priests or monks or one of the leading religions sent somebody to investigate that old god temple that they were talking about. Let's give it. I'm gonna say it's huge.
A charismatic minstrel convinces many to help them with an elaborate scheme. What is it? Start a project? Or a charismatic minstrel tempts many into sinful or dangerous activity. How does this settlement respond?
I think she is from Morcone, Morcone, and she wants to start skimming wine off to sell on the side to make a profit. And I think up till now, Morcone has kind of kept the wine like to themselves. Like, we don't sell this. Like, this is made for us. And she wants to start distributing it out.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
No,
Finish
what I
yours.
discovered on the map is the grand willow tree.
Dylan, purifying the water.
Yes.
Did it work? Yes or no?
It worked. Definitely less production than they were expecting. So maybe like the sick and the elderly are able to get a little bit more water, but they're not.
You're up.
We can leave the next deck. I think we're through spring.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Spring is over. One season down. Now,
Okay, so that was the spring season. A lot happened. A lot of things went in directions that I never would have guessed, and I'm sure the players wouldn't have as well. But I think you got to see some really good examples of one person kind of lighting a spark and then other people fanning the flames and having a situation just totally explode from there on developing these different settlements that they made. I think my players did a great job of kind of feeling off one another and building out as we went through the game itself. And I'm really, really excited to show you where the next couple seasons go and how we tie it all together and build off of these stories.
A contingent within a settlement demand to be heard. Who are they? What are they asking for? Or a contingent within a settlement have acted on their frustrations with another settlement. What have they done?
The soldiers who are in Ambermere are demanding more than their fair share of the of grain from Ambermere, and the farmers don't necessarily like it. Not to be a little. The Tellerant people who are currently, I don't want to say occupying, but
The docks worked.
Yeah, so they're able to send people across the lake. However, whenever people go on ships across the lake, they just disappear. Not the ship itself. However, they've realized that they can get around by like hugging the coast safely. They just can't go into deep water.
You have to
However,
name all
that
the
just
disappeared
that
people.
takes as much time as like
Someone tries to take control of a settlement by force. Do they succeed? Why do they do this? This is that's a big pull. Or a headstrong settlement member decides to put one of their ideas in motion, start a foolish project.
Oh, Darla the fortune teller is trying to take over Browood.
Okay.
Oh, work.
Is that the original settlement she went to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm gonna say she does succeed because there's nothing in place.
There's a power vacuum
And
and
she,
there's no leadership.
yeah, she is charismatic. She has crazy persuasion.
Noted.
Which place is this?
Browood.
Browood. We'll start a project in Browood, and it's going to be to form her council.
Summer is a time for production and tending to the soil. Start a project related to food production somewhere. Or summer is a time for conquest and the gathering of might. Start a project related to military readiness and conquest. That settlement has renowned weaponsmiths and armorsmiths moving forward.
So it sounds like Tellerant is kind of bullying Ambermere. Ambermere is gonna get the smiths. It's gonna be more
I was
of
gonna
like a
steal that
symbiotic relationship where
Yeah.
you're mining the ore and like you have the people to use the weapons, but you're the one who actually needs to make the.
It was secret. I want to be an artificer potentially.
That your smiths are like playing around with these things and trying to make, magical weapons and armor. Creating a workshop where they're like experimenting with like mixing these gemstones.
You investigate the temple has completed. Were they successful in checking it out?
Absolutely not.
I think you. Yeah, they cleared it out. There's nothing else to see or do.
No. They're gone.
We unlocked
Just
tempo
never returned.
checking.
No, yeah, they never returned. I would say they even sent in a small group in after to like find them in case they were near or hurt or something, and they also didn't come back. So they just temple to the old
Send
gods is
more.
Something's happening there. A project finishes early. Which one and why? Or, if there are no projects underway, Borrow leads to a quarrel. A fight breaks out in a settlement. What is it about?
We're gonna go with Darla forming her council.
That one's off the board.
Happened so fast.
I'm gonna essentially say a new pending threat is like against the forming council. I don't want to call it like a full guild or a brotherhood, but just not a good omen. A lot of like graffiti and like retaliation of the talk of it. So
Digging up stone near Muktuk was completed. What happened?
I think they found remnants of something that was there before them. Something was there and flourished, and then something wiped it out.
Down to
Something was here and failed for some reason.
Make a DM's choice.
Yeah.
find out who was causing the protests and the graffiti in the trees.
The project finishes early. What led to its early completion? The weather is nice and people can feel the potential all around them. Start a bonus project.
I'll do a bonus project because of the nice weather. So Muktuk is known for what?
Livestock.
Livestock? Okay, well, they're super curious because this meteor has been there for a long time, like before recorded history, essentially. Taboo and generally dangerous, like around this meteor. Like all sorts of stuff is like weird. The monsters are extra active there. But some people from Muktuk, some young, not necessarily kids, but young guys, start a project to go investigate the meteor and see what happened, what's in that crater. Start a project. Somebody is actually trying to sabotage the wine. The same wine that is being skimmed and spread to other people. But they don't know.
Gosh. A project fails. Which one and why? Or something goes foul and supplies are ruined. Add a new scarcity to a settlement.
So we got a lot going on in Browood. People are disappearing in the lakes. People are mad about the new
Yep.
society up there. I want to add a scarcity of people, maybe, because people are getting frustrated and maybe like, I don't want to do this. People are disappearing already. Like now we're fighting about who's in charge.
That's
Charlie, who started the Barrel Wood riots? How did that resolve?
It was the woods itself. Like there is a natural balance. Darla came in. Darla started to piss off essentially whatever it is, the woods or the balance.
I think what I'm gonna do is have like a big like desert or like deadland over here that we don't know anything about.
Predators and bad omens are afoot. A settlement is careless and someone goes missing under ominous circumstances. Who?
Okay, yeah, Darla's going missing under ominous circumstances.
Yay! Paul, both of yours are finishing. The first one is investigate the meteor. Are they successful?
kind of.
Ooh.
They get as close as they can, so there's all sorts of nasty stuff in that area. But they are actually able to get eyes on it, and it's not a meteor.
Okay.
It looks like a big ship, but weird.
Okay.
It's a spelljammer. And then they end up heading back, and they get in a lot of trouble for going to the taboo area.
Paul, sabotage wine. Was it successful?
Yes. They are starting to. Whatever it is, it's not just straight up poison. It's not killing people, and nobody necessarily knows it's the wine yet. But people are feeling weird.
Yeah, large opening with a crevice in the mountains. So.
To make like a northern passage?
It's definitely not like it has more of a tunnel. It's an opening to go down. To be
Introduce a mystery at the edge of the map.
And stuff, but I can...
An unattended situation becomes problematic and scary. What is it and how does it go awry?
Can we just go ahead and say that Ambermere and
Tolerant?
Yeah. Can you just start actually fighting with each other?
It's gonna be the longest game of Risk we've ever played.
Flip.
Skimming the good wine. Done.
Yeah, it was very successful. They have very good quality control where they checked for any poisons before sending it out. They cleared any poison. I'm just kidding. I think it did work. I think there's some suspicions that people know there's some missing.
A project to prepare for some sort of fight with the other.
A settlement's leader dies. What caused the death? Or the eldest of a settlement is very sick. Caring for them and searching for a cure requires the help of the entire settlement. Do not reduce project dice this week for anyone. And then this settlement gains an advanced apothecary.
I'm gonna say the leader dies of Dur.
Yeah.
See, it's like a theocracy there. It's like all the leaders of all the different, religions that are gonna be of importance, but like the main priest dies, and now all of the rest of the council of theologians are gonna be fighting with each other. Or probably a priest of one god, but it was more someone who was charismatic enough to unite all of these bickering religious parties together. And
All right, Paul steals it.
Yep. So the elder there, his illness, where everybody's trying to help him out, is part of why the mercenary company that's over there is lessened and got lax, which is why Ambermere is part of why they're feeling confident that they can push back. Is that has had to pull back.
Oh. I like that.
Oh, he's not necessarily a good guy. He's a warlord.
but one of the factions in Dur is gonna separate, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be
Not the Dur faction.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna say it's the followers of the god of death go off.
Someone new arrives. Who? Why are they in distress? Or someone leaves the settlement. Who? What are they looking for?
Sorry, Dur. You're gonna get Charlotte.
On board.
Because she
evil
can't connect or talk to Zuckmoy. There we go. Dur is gonna send a party to explore this grand willow tree.
Outsiders arrive in the area. Why are they a threat? How are they vulnerable? Or outsiders arrive in the area. How many? How are they greeted?
They're gonna go to Muktuk. They are a threat because they are, I think, like rowdy barbarians. Like they cause a lot of trouble and stuff like that. Not necessarily because they want to be evil about it. They just they don't.
And you guys
respect
have
their
livestock?
culture.
And they love burgers.
Yeah, like they mess
eat
with the
them?
cattle. They've slaughtered some to eat because they don't understand it.
How are they vulnerable?
They are vulnerable because they are very primitive as well.
The workshop for the gems has been completed. Was it successful?
Yeah, it was successful. It's the only problem is they don't know how to make anything twice.
Ambermere prepares for conflict. Dallas, that is completed. What does that look like when they're finished?
With that project ending, they have a plan. If something were to go.
Concepts of a plan or a plan?
I'm gonna put a big old swamp right here.
Oh yeah, love it.
Just a big swamp.
A settlement discovers a cache of supplies or resources. Who did they belong to? Add an abundance. Or a settlement scarcity has gone unaddressed for too long. Start a project that will alleviate that scarcity.
Morricone finds wandering cattle that we could assume are from Muktuk that they take and bring. I want to start a project now that they have cattle in Morricone to expand their fields and maybe get into other forms of alcohol so they can grow things to make like liquors and stuff on top of the wine because the wine's been rough a little bit.
Corn and potato.
Predators and bad omens are afoot. What measures does a settlement take to keep everyone safe and under surveillance? Do not reduce project dice this week.
Brellwood is going to start escorting anyone who has to go travel through the woods, knowing that there was issues there. You now, any of the Taggants need a further armed escort.
Draw the last one, Dallas. Or are we done with this?
That was the last one.
That was it.
That was the
Gather
last.
the cards. Send the next
The three of
deck
us
around.
together once at the table were too powerful.
All right, that was the end of the summer segment, and that's going to be the last season that we look at today. But I think you're starting to see how a lot of pieces are falling into place. A lot of the players are starting to play off one another and further develop out these different settlements. And we're starting to see a little bit of where players might draw some inspiration about things that they never would have expected their hometown to have in them are now starting to get these definitions that they never would have expected. And the creative juices are really starting to flow for some of the players. This is why I love the Quiet Year so much. It can really throw curveballs at players and really challenge them to basically play in the headspace of another player and adapt what they're trying to say into their own backgrounds. It's very fun. Thank you so much again for bearing with me on the audio of this one. I hope that you had some fun listening to it, and I hope that you got some inspiration to do this for yourselves in a game of the Quiet Year that you run. Keep in mind that this should be fun. It should be a great exercise and game to play with your friends, even if you don't end up taking it into a TTRPG game afterwards. Thanks for being here for the first half of the Quiet Year. The next video will be the second half of the Quiet Year for the autumn and the winter seasons. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, why be a player when you could be a god?